cut.
Now, I know what you're thinking. It's not Wednesday. This is true. It is late, almost towards the midnight hour on the East Coast, and it's still a little bit after 8:30 in the West. And if you're in Hawaii, it's just a little bit past 5 p.m. But yes, welcome to a special impromptu edition from the other side of the ball. Yes, I'm coming to you live from a semi-mini backyard. But nonetheless, I'm Double A, also joined by the returning from his assignment from the islands, where you can finally see him. Welcome home, Chris Vera. And, of course, me and Derek are in the same city, but in different proximities. And joining us, well, he did show his face, and then he disappeared. But, ladies and gentlemen, calling the game later on today between the Insomniacs and the BIC, formerly of the Eastern Renegades, who played a quarterback this past season, the one, the only Mr. Cory Hammond, who decides to put on his multiple pit bosses Trey Robinson jersey. Oh, baby.
That's why you had to turn off the camera.
Yeah, man, it was getting a little cold, and it was getting a little cold in here. I had to put a couple extra layers on, but since it's the Vegas show, I thought I put on a Vegas jersey. Yeah,
Are you sure it wasn't getting trolled in here?
It wasn't getting what?
Trolled in here?
I mean, it rhymes. So if you want to go that way, I'm all about alliteration and rhyme and wordplay. So yeah, but I think, I could have went the Endeavor, but that makes it about me. You know what I'm saying, guys? So I went with the the vintage, the pit bosses. You know what I'm saying? That's it. I mean, listen, they're struggling now, but
nice jersey.
Yeah, it's let's be honest, it's a little tight. The person who wore this in game is just a tiny bit in better shape, let's say. But gentlemen, thanks for having me on the other side of the ball.
Well,
I feel like I must. It feels like if I'm on the other side of the ball, then I'm like playing like a linebacker, and I feel a little weird. But I don't know.
Well,
maybe that'll work out better.
Today, that's what you're going to do. Maybe you're on defense. You're going to have to defend the East for the rest of the show. We'll see how it goes.
Hey, it wouldn't be the first time, right? I've done that.
Well, nonetheless,
also true.
I'll try.
We know you will try. Nonetheless, we appreciate the time, but the moment has finally arrived. We are under some hours away before we finally throw it off. We've talked about hypotheticals. What if? Well, the what if goes away officially at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 Pacific time on A7FL.TV. As the Las Vegas Insomniacs look to join the Patterson U as the only other team to go back-to-back in the 10-year history of the A7FL, or can the BIC join the U as 3-time A7FL champions? Since we're in your backyard, Cory, we'll start with you. How do you break down this matchup that is the Las Vegas Insomniacs against the Trenton BIC?
Ooh, well, I think you can start anywhere, really. I think that you could make a comparison between both of these really great quarterbacks. You could talk about the stable of backfields, I think, because each, hopefully everybody's here, healthy, available, all that kind of stuff. The options that both teams have, maybe in the backfield. This game is going to feature maybe some of the best wide receivers in the history of our league. And I don't think that's really hyperbole, and that goes for both sides. But, in honor of Big Rob, and I think I'm going to text him, let's talk about these offensive lines, guys. Let's get nerdy, let's get football-y, and let's talk about these offensive lines. And now,
so Cory, let's dive in real quick, because I want to kind of aching back to what a conversation you and I had coming off of the end of the last season. I said at that point, if I was starting a A7FL team and I had one player to pick at that point, the answer was Kenny Mack. And here we are again with Kenny Mack leading the charge in offensive line for the world champion Insomniacs, but all the conversation is about a different man who on the other side of the ball. Tell us about Dave Valley.
All right. So when you go to just a random place to maybe find an offensive lineman, and you think of the hypothetical best place to find somebody to just kind of put on a clinic specifically, right? You might end up at a college, go to the offensive line coach and find somebody within the ages of 32 and 41. And you might then find somebody who's capable of teaching people how to do it. Well, Dave Valley not only is the guy that is showing people how to do it at a higher level. What's up? If you rock, you have to rock the face mask for the national audience, please, Denzel. I digress. So Dave Valley is a offensive line coach, a collegiate offensive line coach. He's a flag regular in kind of the Northeast circles. I think he's from either Rhode Island or Vermont, and had nothing to do with the Omegas, which I'm still sour about, by the way. I'm very, very sad about that. But shout outs to Kenny Stansbury and Carl Meisner and BIC. They were able to kind of get in touch with them through their flag connections. Got a guy in here that not only has the physical capabilities that you look for in an athlete at that position, where he's able to move laterally with his quickness of his his footwork. He has the legitimate strength. I dapped him up after the Eastern Conference champion because we're on the field saying hi to the guys, and I was like, you wrap your hands underneath your gloves. He has these gloves, and when you look at the glove, there's like this whole big huge like wad on the glove, like here. And I was like, you wrap underneath your glove? And he says, what do you mean? Those were his like meat paws. Just all muscle. I literally thought that he was wrapping his hands underneath his gloves. It was so thick in that area. So just physically, right? He's kind of that, central casting, perfect offensive lineman type of guy, which you kind of look for. But with the knowledge and experience that he has, not only as an active player, but somebody who's continuing to teach the new techniques. I'm involved with like a heads up football thing with USA Football. And one of the things that they do is they teach this scientific way to transfer, the maximum amount of torque and energy in a block. And it's from the hips and the body area, as opposed to shout outs to what looks like those are cats. Cats? Okay.
No, it's wolves.
I know they're wolves. I know. Come on. They're just doing stuff. I'm gonna do stuff back. So he knows the proper techniques that are actually being taught, like currently, to active, high-level players, high-level, personnel in the league or in leagues. And he's kind of the full package. But the other thing that he does is takes on specifically the best defensive lineman in name or reputation and makes it a point to embarrass that person. And we can go down the list of names in the Northeast that we know. What's up? Big Mike. And Big Mike has seen Dave Valley. He could probably talk about him as well. There's a lot of guys that I have a lot of respect for because I've seen them be dominant in this league for a long time. And Dave Valley just straight pancaked them. So that's a little bit of who Dave Valley is. But shout outs to Dave Valley, because in a situation in which he could have been a little bit different, let's say, after an interception, which against BIC happens from time to time, instead of taking advantage of the blindside hit, he allowed me to live to see my children. And for that, I will be forever grateful.
I love it.
So Dave Valley, we've been talking about him a lot, but let's be honest, there's a little bit in every sport. Let's talk NBA, let's talk college football. There's a little bit of East Coast bias in every major sport that you'll ever watch, and unfortunately, the East Coast time zone thing, it is what it is. But I don't think that we respected Kenny Mack in his ability to do the things that he can do. It's just that Dave Valley being a rookie, it's that shiny new toy that you get to kind of show off at show and tell and be like, look at this new thing in the league. And for BIC to be one of those teams that's on games of the week and we call the games.
Look, to that same point.
Go ahead.
You cut out, brother. But to that same point, we had a new rookie in Vegas, Michael Lugo, who was tearing up the field on offensive line, and I said he might be the best new lineman in A7FL, along with Dave Valley. And Kenny was mad at me, like mad. So, whatever gets him motivated, man. I'm happy.
Yeah. Yeah, the perceived slight is a big thing. Ask Michael Jordan about it. It works.
Before we continue, live at 2-5, welcome on. How are you, sir? How's Junior?
What's going on, fellas?
2-5.
Hey, Sig Light, what's up, baby?
Trying to be like you when I grow up.
Hey, man, I'm trying to get like y'all. What's going on, Cory? How you doing?
Good, man. Hey, I'm happy to hear you got good news as well, man. I mean, listen, if at any point we talk shit on this show, good. It's for the show. But before we get to any brass tacks in that sense, I'm glad to hear there's good news on your end.
And 100%. Definitely appreciate everybody that's been checking in or even just keeping tabs on it. He's definitely getting better. Great news is he's actually supposed to be getting discharged, and we might get to go home on Thursday. So
hallelujah, praise the Lord.
Good to hear, man.
100%. You know what I'm saying?
Told you.
Definitely want to say appreciate everybody.
Say, you look actually refreshed yourself, man. You're looking good up there, bro. So keep taking care of yourself and take care of the family, man. We need you to handle that side. We'll keep the football rocking for you, and we'll see you when we get home.
Hey, man, look, let me tell you, okay, Salt Lake City, no smoking, barely any weed unless I brought it. You feel me? Yeah, I have to look like this.
Listen, if you're looking for a real refreshing time or some confusion, you could check out the Church of Latter-day Saints, and they'll maybe let you in. But anyway,
hey, look, I'm gonna keep it real. They have church tomorrow. Okay, I don't want to say this too loud. They got church tomorrow at like 11 o'clock, and they sign instantly says something about a sacrifice. Okay, I'm not going. I feel like if I go,
yeah, I think we've all seen Get Out. I think we've all seen Get Out, and we know how that movie ends. So,
man, look, so I'm gonna just send my prayers from the second floor, and.
Hey, God can see through the hospital. God can see through whatever building you're in. You don't necessarily have to go in the designated one in Utah.
Look,
but anyway,
he knows I mean well.
Yeah, Chris, you can go ahead and answer Will Franklin's question since it was directly at you.
No, I'm not in Philly.
All right.
Yeah, so we'll not address the elephant in the room. Will Franklin said Derek ain't gonna make it. That boy's tired. Yes, Will, I am. Working on about 2.5 hours of broken sleep from airplane rides to a little nap and trying to book flights that are getting canceled wrangling cats and keeping people up at airports. And it's been nuts, man. Everybody who's been our providers. Go ahead,
on. These people that I'm talking to on this show mostly wake up on most Wednesdays in Las Vegas, Nevada. I think the people on here know how to deal with what Derek's dealing with, and he will at least make it through the show.
Yes, on the other side of arms. And yes, on the other side, I'm saying they're having an NCAA 2-5 tournament going on right now on the
so they're taking their film watching seriously.
I want to know where Dub is, where he's got amazing Wi-Fi, an amazing camera. You know what I'm saying? Like he's looking beautiful right now.
First off, I'm in Philadelphia. Dub is on the East Coast for the first time in his life.
Really?
Really. I'm on my phone, literally up against a glass right now. I'm in the kitchen of the Airbnb while the other gentlemen are playing NCAA 2-5 right now. I think it's Colorado versus Miami, and they got some kind of a tournament going on right now.
So is Colorado on that. Come on. Come on.
What do you mean? Come on, I
Ashmore's
get some of the best talent in the league in the country.
No, not that. Like
Ashmore-
you're gonna be that guy that picks the team that everybody picks. Like you can go in a little deeper in the bag than
Will.
you know.
Oh yeah, like UNLV.
I mean, you don't have to go that deep.
Will, you can message Ashmore about the address. Hello, Mr. Cox. Right now, Jay Prince is losing to go get a tray at the moment. Thank you for the update, Steve Ashmore.
Hey, SG
Hey,
Sports
no more
Talk.
comments.
Is that Mizzle?
I will text him in just a second.
Hey, listen,
I'll
no more
do
comments. Let's get
I'll
back
do
to these
my-
offensive lines. Come on, let's nerd out.
Yeah, Cory, I'm with you. Let's do this.
We're getting sidetracked by people talking about
Okay,
what's going on in the
okay.
background at Dubs thing.
Okay.
We got a championship game to talk about.
No, but
Hey,
here's my question.
that's what I'm talking about, Corey. Finally on the same shit. Because when I popped in, I definitely was listening to a little bit of something. You feel me? And
So
now
I
we
did the
just
Dave
talking
Valley
about-
thing. Let's compare and contrast. Now, the guy you're talking about, Derek, right? And I just jump right into it. Let's get nerdy. The guy you're talking about is one of the guys that was added to the sick-witted offensive line, right?
Yes, sir.
Hey,
Yeah,
look,
and
Corey,
he's good.
it's been about a couple seasons. You still call it the sick with it?
Yes, I also say dem forces. I also say dem forces. So it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. Listen, the problem is I changed teams so many friggin' years that I
Yes, you
have
do.
trouble just with every other team name as well. So it's kind of like I don't know what InstaFace is called.
Hold on, Corey.
Talkgram.
Somebody wants to know: Are you on the all-decade team?
Listen, if you put a top 10 like compiler list of stats, sure. Sure.
How about the
Apparently,
freest
Corey
of
did not
agents?
clear the Rubik. Okay.
It's a
So we got
rubric, first of all.
So we got
Second of all-
Lugo from sick with it. What you got?
Me? No, I was gonna let Derek because he was the one who brought him up.
Oh, okay.
No, so I was just saying
from
that
what I've seen, I think that he's a good. I try to hide from the Hawaiian names, so I call him Mickey Mouse, Sia Sua, Sua Sia. What you know what I'm saying? That guy.
Josiah Seau.
Yes. So Manti Te'o is a great offensive lineman. But
Yeah.
when Sickwood had added that other anchor piece, right? And I know, Knox, you were at tight end for them sometimes. Then they kind of like shift in by putting Seau and I did it right that time. They put Seau and a couple of the guys there at tight end. But when they anchored it with Seau and that new guy, they were able in the first game especially to get some running lanes off that jet kind of wing tee jet sweep waggle kind of trap situation that they were kind of morphing into the A7. But I liked what they had to do. But I mean, really what we have to talk about is if we're going to talk about offensive lines, even though Vegas did do a couple things to improve and have some of those guys, and we talk about Dave Valley all the time. What's up, Quincy Davis? He's going to be wearing the face mask is Denzel. But so I talk about Dave Valley. We'll talk about I'll talk about Big Dippy in a second. I'll kind of introduce you to him if you didn't see him last week or 2 weeks ago. But tell us and me a little bit more about how you feel not only the Insomniacs line is, because we could talk, you guys have probably already covered that, but how they're going to match up on the speed, the center, low center of gravity, and the depth of the BIC defensive line.
What was that question for?
Yeah, so
Anybody. I mean, you guys literally watch them like in person, day in, day out, week in, week out. You guys, I've watched them film, but there's only so much you can get from that angle and that distance.
I'll take it because I've been watching film and I've been watching them live and can kind of been seeing the progression of their line and maybe the digression sometimes early in the years they were moving pieces around and trying some things out. But you got Wes on one end and Swank on the other. And those guys, when they work together, they are a very cohesive unit. And when you have that hard three and you put Munchie on the other end as the fourth as a split, it's a very formidable and extremely athletic line that moves very well and more importantly moves very well together. So I don't know their strategy about how they're going to take down the four-man rush or if they're going to let somebody go free or take it with a back. We haven't discussed all of that, but they've seen that. They've practiced it. They're going to go through it in walkthroughs tomorrow. And if you've got RTC or Juice in the backfield as the person who's picking up that fourth, and now you got to worry about him splitting out because you're rushing that fourth, that adds another element and dynamic that now BIC's got to worry about. So the question on our end becomes, are the Insomniacs going to adjust their line to compensate for what BIC is bringing, or are they going to make BIC compensate for what they're bringing? And that will likely determine what the outcome of the game is.
Well, I for sure think that the offensive lines are going to determine this game, and maybe whenever an offensive line determines, it's also does the defensive line determine. But
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
We came into this year talking about the Insomniacs as a 3-on-1. I'll say we, and I'm going to text Robin a little bit. Maybe he can pop on. Get a little bit Chata Bob action.
I already sent him the link, Cory, so we're all good.
He'll get in when he can. But when I say we, even the 3-on-1 was talking about how the offensive line for the Insomniacs is one of the biggest difference makers that we really don't talk about. And you're talking about West is the guy that Oos, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's a really good to great offensive line in the A7FL. And I think that when they've had obstacles in front of them, they've pretty much taken care of business. Now, when you look at some of the film on, let's be honest, any team, but some of the film on the sick, is that better? Just sick?
Yes.
The sick Insomniacs game that just passed, not the first game, but the second game, the championship game. You could see that sick had some opportunities getting some rushers in the basic, whether they do a slide or they do a man protection. It changes, I think. It's hard to kind of see that from the angle, but there was some pressure at times on Scooter. A lot of times it was more. It seemed like it would almost ramp up on the championship points for whatever reason. I don't know if that's a thing. Maybe they were just taking a breather on that play. But if the run blocking is effective for Insomniacs, I think that they can use the play action to help with the rush. But if this is a game where the Insomniacs go in thinking like last year's championship against the Nightcrawlers, they're going to go 26 carries with RTC. I mean, shout outs to the Nightcrawlers and when they bring people, right? But I don't know if throwing RTC 26 times. Now, I think they have more depth this year at running back.
They do.
Yeah, they have way more.
That's obviously a huge factor. But if they can set up the run, which if you watch some games against BIC, there's opportunities there if you can block those guys. But if they don't, and they have to get into, and this goes basically any football, conversation you're talking about. If the Insomniacs get into those tough situations where it's must pass, 3rd and long, that's where BIC's defense really can get to you and to a guy like me or Scooter, which Scooter's much more capable of getting away than I am. Let's be honest. But to the extent that he's going to be able to make some of the plays like me and you were talking about it, Derek, that David Tender was making, avoiding rushers that come off free. I don't know if Scooter's got that in his bag, not once or twice, because he absolutely can when necessary. But if consistently for 4 quarters, that's the offense for the Insomniacs, it's going to be a long day for the defending champs.
I mean, that's 100% understandable, Cory. But at the same time, Scooter is it. Granted, they got speed, all that, but I'll say from even having to attempt to tackle him myself, at some times, Scooter's not the easiest guy to bring down. You know what I'm saying? He has some size to him. You know what I mean? He has some size to him. He's able to get loose whenever he needs to, and he's able to somewhat extend plays when he needs to. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those where, like you say, he's not able to make those certain plays by, getting out of the pocket and being shifty. And that was one of those things that BIC definitely had a problem with. They had a problem with a quarterback that's real shifty and can get out there, you know what I'm saying, and make guys miss.
You guys are talking about the game where they let up 68 points.
I'm talking about this last game.
They had 5 interceptions, so I think they did okay.
5 interceptions doesn't necessarily tell you what the game went, how the game went. Let's keep it real.
Let's keep it real. If you watch the game control.
Unless that last interception happened, in about 2 minutes or some shit, they were definitely in the game.
When we found out that Quattrell Huffin was not playing, they kind of weren't in the game. And shout outs to Butler because he did step in and make some plays. But you guys have seen.
How do you let somebody that's not necessarily your backup quarterback come in and still do work?
I don't know how did the Insomniacs let teams like OTT score like 20 on them? You chill when you're obviously going to win.
That's 20 points. That's
okay.
20.
So let's talk about the actual analysis that needs to happen. Is when you look at what David Tender from the Animals was able to do, because he put up 68 points and he was threatening the BIC defense every single play.
100%. 100%.
Scooter is good at the traditional types of quarterback movement. He climbs in the pocket great, and if you give him a seam, take advantage of it. The thing with BIC is that middle rusher is not the guy you climb in the pocket towards. Also, with the A7FL having that.
Let's be clear, though. When most teams are climbing the pocket or rushing up the middle, they're expecting a 5'10" to 6'2", 180-pound guy that is going to try to be elusive. And what they're going to find is a 6'2", 300-pound guy that's going to run their ass over from time to time. So I know we say that a healthy dose of RTC 26 times is not the recipe for winning, but 20 from RTC, 10 from Scooter, 10 from Juice, where these dudes are hanging their head just like the Nightcrawlers did after they get busted up a few times.
Don't do that to my guy Scooter. You do not need to use him like a bowling ball. You have one in your bag, right? Like you can just go into the bag, reach in, grab the bowling ball for the bowling ball. Scooter can throw dimes on time. That's his best attribute, and in my opinion, that's what I would try to have him do in this game.
He can, but if you know anything about the Insomniacs, what they like to do is say, okay, here you are. Let me show you how to play your game better than you do. You guys think you play bully ball? Let me shove this shit right down your throat and beat the shit out of you for 4 quarters and play New Jersey East Coast style football all day and show you that they're better, that we're just better. That's their move every time.
That will be interesting to see.
About Scooter climbing the pocket. Everybody remind me, where does Mac play?
He plays center, right?
Where does Dave Valley play?
Nose.
He's usually Dave Valley isn't going to necessarily be the number one defender.
He splits wherever he wants.
See. Well, he plays defense because if he plays defense, he plays defense. But the depth of the BIC defensive line is guys like Bone, the guy who caught the ball, right? Big Mook. So there's those big body guys, and then they've been using the NFL running back Darryl Burgess as a defensive end, defensive tackle kind of hybrid.
And some dude named Trey Robinson.
Well, Trey Robinson plays kind of like that rover position, right? I've seen him play. I've seen him play in the box at D end, right? But I don't know if I don't think he's gonna They might call a play where they do a cross block and Kenny Mack pulls from center out, or put him directly on Trey to just have Kenny Mack, get some action against his former teammate.
We can pretty well guarantee that's gonna happen.
Trey, listen, when BIC brought their guys, and Insomniacs do that, Sickwood does that, it is what it is. When they brought their guys, they had a lot of depth at defensive line, and sometimes that's a gift, sometimes it's a curse. It means they'll be fresh. Listen, I didn't come on the show to denigrate, my guy Scooter either. But if we're talking about guys, climbing in the pocket and becoming a dangerous weapon, I wouldn't say of the quarterbacks in this matchup, the one that I say is, you got to watch for Scooter if he breaks the pocket. No, I don't know. In this matchup specifically, look, against
he took off for a few right up the middle, though.
I mean, say it. You could say it.
When it comes to taking off up the middle, advantage BIC. When you're talking about their 2 starting quarterbacks, let's be real.
Yeah,
well,
100%.
I made the comment one time that because at the time, for whatever reason, and there's always a reason, it's a tough position. Sterry was a little inaccurate, so puts the main weapon away, pulls out the sidearm, 83-yard touchdown run against guys that we respect in a team like the U. It wasn't against the Boston Omegas or the Vegas Gold. So the thing that I'm going to really focus on in this game is there are two levels of each offensive play. There's what was designed and what can be improvised based on the new information as things start to hit the fan. And what I think the Insomniacs are able to do, maybe even better than BIC, is that first part. It's going to be interesting how the quarterback, who, no fault of his own, has not necessarily faced as intense a rush as I think that he's likely going to face this, today, officially now? Because
for you guys, for me, it's 10
Yeah, you're still somewhere in the past. You're somewhere in another timeline.
I'm stuck on yesterday.
If our offense even touch the field, pack to all right.
Okay, wait,
Quincy, stop it.
Let's go ahead and segue into that because that's something I wanted to talk about with
3-on-1?
you specifically, Cory. Because you were one of two people about the speed of Vegas versus New Jersey, because you're one of two people who I think can legitimately make a statement on that right now. Well, one of three. So you got Mark Cooper, who saw it last year. You saw it just in a couple games when you were there, and Trey's been living it, even though he's trolling, saying what he says. I don't think so. I think that Pac Money is fast as hell. I think Ashanti Worthy is fast as hell. But I also think that Florida is faster and Vegas is faster. I think that the top of the top end. Hang on, let me finish. I
which
think
guys?
The top
which
of the
guys?
Top end,
you got to say which guys.
Let me get there. The top of the top end is the same. So that the top two from both divisions, from all three divisions, is probably similar. But the drop off after that is significant in Jersey. There's like two or three really, really fast guys in Jersey. And then from there is just fast guys. In Vegas, in Florida, it's like 8 to 10 really, really fast guys. And from there, it's fast guys. In Vegas, it's like 6 really fast guys.
But in Florida, let's be honest, when they had all of their guys, right? The tough part about the Florida conversation.
Can you just mute?
Just tell them that they're ruining your opportunity to be the focal point of this show. They're screwing you. Anyway,
that'll go over well.
In the Florida
I'm never the focal point.
You're the facilitator. You are the Rajon Rondo, and I'll be the annoying Paul Pierce giving bad takes and being degenerate, right? Derek Duncan will be KG. He's just out here shooting people. Chris is bald, so he's Kendrick Perkins. So that means that 2-5.
What? I'm big. Hey, I'm big baby.
No, I was going to say you're Ray Allen. You out here, Jesus
I'll take that too. I'll take that too.
So anyway, this is Celtics reference for anybody who thought that the Celtics won for the first time this year when it was like, I don't know, the 37th. Anyway.
They went 18. God damn it. Stop it.
So speed, that Florida championship, the longest play in the history of Florida was on a guy from the Ghost. Okay. So the Ghost guy, no disrespect to him, it didn't look like he was like the best guy. No, I know. I'm saying that there's a certain level of, projection that we put on these things. But what I will say this is if you mention a guy, we can kind of go and I'll say eye test who I think is faster.
Yeah,
who I think Pac Money speed for who think Pac Money, that he's the Baltimore product. Marcellus Pack, speed for speed, like top speed, and how he kind of gets to that acceleration and almost looks like he's on like that, 1.25 speed fast forward when you're watching him. Reminds me a little bit of what Danye Lyons looks like in open field.
Exactly.
Or pre-injury lavish, right?
And we're talking about the guys who actually play on that coverage team. So I mean, I know.
I don't think I
people
don't
from
listen,
New Jersey don't watch Vegas football. They don't.
No,
they just don't know
they
what
don't.
they bring to the table.
No, they don't. But what I will say is that the 3-on-1 isn't just about pure speed. It's not.
No,
it's about acceleration
it's
and it's about
speed.
getting that corner, right? And it's
Right.
not necessarily about who's fast on the coverage team. You obviously you can't get caught like the Insomniacs when Lavish T in the first game, brought like some lineman out there for token, Pop Warner one play so he could get in or something. And then there's a dude 74 chasing Lavish T with a silky silver bonnet. It's like, that's just a personnel mistake, right? Like that's, but so the 3-on-1 is an interesting, thing because Ashanti Worthy, I think, is obviously one of the faster guys in our league. I don't know if he's even the faster guy of him and Pac. Just pure speed. What people don't understand about Ashanti Worthy is his acceleration from 0 to now running full speed or change of direction is like nothing anybody's ever seen until they see it in person. And his balance and strength are unhuman. Like the thing about Ashanti Worthy is people get their hands on him running full speed all the time. The problem is that when they do that, he has such strength and contact with the ground and balance that people slide off of him as he accelerates through them, not only with speed, but with a significant amount of like torque and force. He's strong as hell. I seen him in a game that I was winning at the time. One of my guys, I won't shout his name out, grabbed onto his jersey, and Ashanti was able to do a spin move to avoid another tackler with a person draped off of him that weighs 165 pounds. So,
not impressed.
Listen, you could be.
I'm not impressed.
You could be
Corey,
about what? What are you not impressed about? Ashanti Worthy in general.
I'm not impressed by his speed, his 3-on-1 returns.
Yeah. Bro, you didn't even know. First of all, before you get there, you didn't even know that you had to. You could throw it out of bounds on a punt.
Come on.
So before you talk to me about a guy that you didn't watch film on,
I realized I could throw it. I realized I could throw it like way to the ceiling. And like all of those fast guys that even they would talk about in Vegas wouldn't
knowing
do
the rules
shit.
is important. Instead of throwing it to the ceiling, you could have thrown it out of bounds at the 1.
I didn't want to.
Then you would have been
I didn't
smart.
want to.
You didn't watch film on Ashanti Worthy. You don't have respect for the guy because you're going to just be a troll and be negative. I came on here to be honest.
I wasn't being negative. Corey,
you're not impressed. Is what you said.
Relax.
You're not impressed. And if you're not impressed, you're not paying attention.
Let's not talk over each other, okay? Let's not talk over each other. Relax. I'm just saying I'm not impressed. I've said about the Vegas teams. I say it about out there. I'm not impressed by anybody. That's what I'm saying. So don't make it seem like I'm just saying it's him or anything like that. I say the same thing about the guys out here. I'm not impressed.
If you're not impressed by Ashanti,
I'm not impressed.
You just haven't watched enough film.
Why do I need to watch film?
Before we continue,
because that's how you. That's kind of how you, judge a player's ability is by watching him.
Corey, that's like when Huff tried to throw the ball on a fucking rainbow way in the air and hurt himself. Come on, man.
You watched one game and now you have an opinion on Ashanti Worthy.
Corey, at least I watched your guys' games. You guys don't even watch the games out here. You feel me?
I just referenced multiple plays in both of the 6.
All right, let's all pause for just 1 second. Dub is trying to bring Big Rob into the show. And Big Rob, can you please mute yourself, sir?
Joining us is the other third of the commentary team that will call today's game later on. Doing his 9-to-5 job, multi-time A7FL champion, Big Rob Fabien in the house. Thank you for chiming in, Big Rob. How are you?
What y'all Vegas dudes doing here, man? What y'all want, man? What y'all Vegas dudes want, man? It's smoke right now, man. I ain't come here to smile with y'all. What y'all doing in my city, man?
You've been holding
Big Jersey in the chat. What's up? Huh? Y'all been here for 3 days? Y'all been chilling?
For 3 days. We need that shit back.
You holding on to your trophy is crazy. Your trophy? Shit.
That's right. I'm in 4 now.
Hey,
listen, I like the energy.
There's a square with dust on my mantle that it needs to go back on. I don't feel like dusting.
I don't know, man. You might have to keep that thing the way it is. I don't know if you're going to put nothing there tomorrow. You might have to wait till next year, man. Might have to hit the drawing board again. Nah, You can put a cup on there or an I'll
right.
try trophy. You can put an I'll try trophy on there.
Gabriel Ruiz is talking about the specific song that's going on in
That's
the background.
insane.
It says
That's
Grupo Ferme. And he's like, yeah, I want to be
That's insane.
in with Bobby.
Nah, you don't listen. You don't want to be. You don't want. Wait, is he sitting on the toilet?
No. It did look like a
Yo, that looks crazy. Yo,
It's a whole.
Yo, that looks crazy.
It's a bench. It's the knees up. It's the knees
Okay,
up.
all right. Nah, cause you know the joint. You know what I'm saying? It's a small little box. I'm like, yo, where he at?
Okay,
They
now
speed it.
Rob, we do have a question for you. Now, here's the
What's
question.
going on, man?
Kiddo 9 says, Rob, what you gonna say if Vegas repeats?
Oh no, I mean, listen. There's nothing you can say if that's it. Really, what else can you really say? You feel me? Yeah, like we're not haters, and honestly, I love the Insomniacs. I love the guys on the Insomniacs. It's gonna be fun to have you guys on here. You know what I'm saying? It's cool. It's gonna be dope if you repeat. That's legendary. You feel me? Yo, that door. Yeah, that door. Yeah, if y'all repeat, that'll be legendary. You feel me? Like that doesn't happen often. You're welcome. It doesn't. That doesn't happen. You know what I'm saying?
We don't come on and say that we're not impressed by the guys in Vegas. That's just
at all. Nah,
we are.
Yeah,
we
we don't
watch.
do that.
We know because that's how you find out.
I mean, look at the Heat. Listen,
I want to say I'm not impressed by nobody's 3-on-1, whether it's East Coast, West Coast, Midwest. I don't care. Take it how you want.
Why is? Yeah, you guys were like going back and forth about that.
Yeah, and
why
I was
are you
just
not
trying to tell them
impressed?
like you don't. My thing is when I look at the 3-on-1 return myself, every team damn near averages with getting to the 40 or 50. So when you average on getting to the 40 or 50, how are you really even setting it up for your defense to even have some type of chance to even stop an offense that can pretty much do whatever they want to do? So let's just take BIC. If you look at Insomniacs 3-on-1, they have a semi-solid group of guys. But if you got somebody like Ashante Worthy that can get them easily to the 50, the people that's throwing the ball off are ass. What are you doing to neutralize that? What are you doing to try to at least pin them inside the 20, inside the at least the 25? You know what I'm saying? Make it some type of fucking challenge as opposed to somebody running all the way down to the 40 or 50 yard line. That goes all across the league.
Is that what me and Knox were talking about? It's funny when Rob comes in how the tone shifts, but I guess
I've been asked you to stop talking over me so you can actually listen and stop trying to, you know what I'm saying?
That's fair.
Nah, so for me to understand, I you know what? I ain't even mad at that, but so that means you're not impressed with it at all, even when some of these teams they don't pin these guys back, even on the good ones. You know what I'm saying? If you throw it out of the back of the end zone, they get to the, you know what I'm saying? It's not really. I think the danger of the 3-on-1 for real is those teams that can score. And the reason why I say it's dangerous, whether they get to the 40, 50, anything can happen, a fumble, interception, any of those things can happen. That's what makes it exciting. But when a team is able to score on a 3-on-1, and we've had it multiple times in in Jersey where
Vegas too.
You would watch the game. BIC one time, it looked like we spotted BIC 8 points because the game didn't start and the BIC was up 8, you know what I'm saying, 8 zip. And there was no time off the clock.
15 left in the first. It also erases
and you see what I'm saying? And that
drive,
No, and that's kind of where I'm not trying to change your mind, Knox, for real. But I think that's where the meat and potatoes of that 3-on-1 is, how drastically it could change a game without taking any time off. It's like a free throw. Low key, like
look,
you know what I'm saying?
100%. Look, I'm on when you when you break it down like that, it's 100% understandable. Like you say, anything can happen. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Anything can happen. For me, it's more or less like I said, and I was one of those that when I did play, I took it serious. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't like or didn't want to see.
You know how dangerous it is.
Team, you know what I'm saying? I've had people running back on me. You know what I'm saying? I've had people running back on, do all of that good stuff. You feel me? So I've been a part of it.
Right.
And that was me saying that I didn't like that shit. You know what I'm saying? The fact that, like you said, it can change that quick and things can happen that quick. I didn't like it. So I had to figure out different ways to neutralize those players that were effective.
Neutralize it.
You know what I'm saying? And that were effective and could, like you said, put up points that quick without taking points off. So that's why when you go back to watching shit like that, all those big names that you were hearing, when they played against myself at least, or at least the guys that I had alongside of me, we weren't allowing that shit. And I feel like just across the league is just like you got guys that's just throwing the ball to, let's just say, Son. I'm just gonna throw the ball to him.
Right. And they shouldn't. You saying they shouldn't put it in his hands for real? Like if they're smart.
Why would you do that? So it's
not right. No, you're right.
I don't respect him. I'm not saying I don't respect him and what he can do. I'm just saying
you just don't like how people run the 3-on-1. I feel what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? If it was me, he wouldn't be who Cory wants him to be. You know what I'm saying? But he's definitely gonna do that shit
on the 3-on-1. Yeah, on the 3-on-1.
He's gonna do that shit. Yeah. I'm nothing else.
And the more general conversation we were having was the speed of the guys, not only in the game but in general in the divisions. And I think
because if he doesn't touch the ball, he can't show me his speed.
Well, what's funny is Ashanti isn't.
I'm not that fast. Time. I'm fast, but I'm not that fast.
But on the after touchdown, Rob's gonna have those blares. On the 3-on-1 after a touchdown, the kickoff version, you have to throw it to the guy or allow him. Now, if you could do what some of the guys can do and throw it out of the end zone type of thing and make it a non-return. That's kind of
what he's saying.
I know.
If you throw that shit as high as the fucking lights, that receiver, what is he doing?
No, he's right.
But then you could sometimes get that over.
He's looking for it
from the outside contain guy, and then all of a sudden it's an easy touchdown if you miss that tackle.
Look. Listen,
you see what I'm talking about, Rob?
He's saying he's not really discrediting Ashanti, nor is he saying what Ashanti does is not impressive. He's just saying in the context of poor 3-on-1 coverage is the reason why these guys are doing all this amazing shit. So it's not a scale or how amazing he is, but we're getting to see these amazing plays because motherfuckers don't got no IQ and they're throwing it at the guy that can do that. So I get it. I get what you're saying. It's kind of irrefutable. I do get it. That was one of my keys to
which team
the
do you think
Insomniacs
faster,
losing.
Rob? Which team do you think is faster, Rob? Just the top end guys.
Overall?
Let's just say
PIC, but not by that much.
No, because I think the team speed is a little bit different when you talk about some of the other things. But let's just talk about guys like who would be the Insomniacs guys? We'll say Danye Lyons, right?
You got Danye, you got Zelly,
Davick.
You got Davick.
Bro, them boys are
fast,
though, bro.
Gazelle speed,
them boys are fast.
I mean, there's a lot of speed on the
field. No, bro. You don't.
Speed.
You got Juice.
Juice is. I like Juice. Juice is like. Juice popped up out of nowhere for me, and I'm like, yo, I'm a fan.
Well,
I like Juice.
They used him a lot in the fall.
They did. Listen.
I'm from Jersey, bro. I'm from Jersey. Fall doesn't count for me.
All right, now we do.
Fall is G League.
Here's a question.
Cory, remember that shit after we talked today.
What's the over under on total surrenders between the two teams?
He's not allowed to listen. I don't like the tone, Will, that you're talking as a ref, and the ease in which you're using certain terms. Will, no, I'm just joking. The A7FL officially said 1.5, so it's settled. I'd like to talk about what the rest of our panel. Moving on from the 3-on-1, I think we covered it. I think I like where we ended up. I think we don't need to pick who's better or what, but the general strategy.
Cory, come on, Cory. Next thing, come on, let's go.
Segue, Rob.
Nah, you're killing me right now. Let's go.
You missed offensive line, so you didn't get to talk about Dave Valley.
I don't want to talk about. I don't want to talk about them. Let's go, Corey. Come on. Let's go.
D-line. Let's just say this. Who's got the better D-line, and how can the Vegas guys justify them saying theirs?
Yeah, so
I mean, the Vegas guys are gonna. The Vegas. Who's that? Derek. Go ahead, Derek.
About your D line than I do. I only know our guys. I don't really know the BIC D line that well. I know Dave. I know K-Wack when he's on it, and that's where it kind of dies because Master Chief and what's his name, Berardi, they haven't been doing what they did.
Berardi's not even like present. Okay.
Yeah, they fell off. Like they both
Psycho's been playing pretty well. I mean, he's not.
Psycho's been He's had a good season.
Like a middle linebacker spot or a spy.
Yeah, he does. He doesn't really play D line, right? So let's talk about the Insomniacs D line because what I've seen a lot is AJ McQuaig is playing D tackle. RTC is probably their most effective edge rusher.
Is that what y'all gonna do tomorrow, bro? I'm not.
That's
even
one of
to
the things that I was gonna try to say. Now listen, they have the depth at running back though, Rob, that they could put.
No, that they do.
Let me update you guys real quick.
Let me know.
Because Chris Cunningham broke something. Christopher McWilliams broke something in the fall, and he's been out all season, and he's back for this game. So RTC won't need to be used in that position. So we got.
But respectfully, is Chris
probably the
hold on, Corey, hold on. So respectfully, Chris coming back for his first game, being the championship game against a whole another state, is that the game you think Chris is gonna somehow make some type of difference?
Well, look, him being in the game is going to make a difference, a morale boost. I don't know.
Oh, okay, morale. Sure,
he's going to be everything that he was last season, but he's also going to have the freshest legs of anybody on the field this week.
What is it, like a new leg? It wasn't that bad of an injury, Derek. I'm sorry, that was just flowing.
I mean, if
he was out.
Yeah, like
you said, it's a fresh leg. I said, is it like new? Is it like a different one? Did they have to?
It might as well be. I mean, the dude's only like 35 years old. Like,
no, my thing. Anyway, my thing with the Chris Williams thing is, again, nothing against him. It's any player who hasn't seen the field in X amount of time. Coming back in your first game is this one. Bro, morale boost or not, if Dave Valley turns him into a stack of pancakes, I don't know how much morale, you know what I'm saying, you're going to get out of that. That's just for anyone, you feel me? I wouldn't want this to be the first game because then they start, you know what I'm saying, pointing fingers and blaming, oh, it's because he ain't been here. Or I like the path to least resistance and having the least amount of shit to talk about. Anthony Wilkerson at DE is awesome, but not if he's your star running back. You know what I'm saying? Not if he just made the all-decade team as a running back. You know what I'm saying?
Situationally,
it's kind of
pretty damn good, though. I'm just going to say.
No, I'm not saying that he's not good, but Derek
was not happy about
Derek, everybody, all you guys were there last year when, Anthony Wilkerson willed his way to a touchdown that he called in the huddle. Do you understand how much pressure you're putting on the new running backs like Juice and all these guys who weren't under these lights last year? Anthony Wilkerson is the guy that deserves to be under the lights because he's been here before. So, in my opinion, that's who starts the game. Everybody else should be watching, you know what I'm saying, cheering their teammates on. And when your name or number is called, you get in and you do your job. You feel me? But to put that kind of pressure on a guy like Juice or even the cannonball dude, right? Even if, like him, he's not bowling ball. Yeah, he's nice, but it's like if he catches one of those hits that he doesn't get in Vegas, because they don't like to hit over there. But if he gets one of those hits, no, I mean, the Vegas guys told me that themselves. Some of them guys don't like, bro. Juice took back a 3-on-1 against Sick, right? Am I tripping? He took back a 3-on-1, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he did.
Did you see the attempts to tackle?
Bro, they put Schwenk out there on the 3-on-1, so I don't know what
the lack.
And the crazy part is, if he would have hit him, it was a flag. He dove at his legs with no attempt to wrap. These little things that the Jersey guys know and are like 100% behind are going to change. They're going to give them a slight edge. I just feel like there's an edge over here that there isn't, you know what I'm saying, in Vegas. And I feel like you guys are nervous too. Well, you don't got to tell me. You don't got to
back
confirm
to
it.
D-line. No nervous. No,
you guys are a little
Vegas
nervous.
Let's just keep to the data. Let's keep to the data, right?
250 running a 4.3 is insane.
Bro,
Juice is nice.
Yo,
I like Juice.
Kenny Mack out here in Philly for like 12 hours already, 4.3, 250? No.
Derek, sidebar, y'all popping out?
Nah,
man, I don't know.
Will Franklin's already talking about he's falling asleep on the live.
Derek,
if I get a nap, maybe. If I get a nap, maybe. We'll see.
Derek, y'all popping out for 30 minutes? 30 minutes. 36-minute drive, man. Pop out. Kenny Stansberry's over there. Kenny Stansberry's over there.
Is D-line?
Okay.
Yeah, he's in.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to worry. D-line, though. We got McQuaig.
Yep.
Eric Shuford, you guys aren't nervous. That's ridiculous. We got McQuaig at D tackle.
Not nervous at all. Okay.
We have Chris McWilliams, first game back after major leg injury, playing defensive end. Introduce the rest of the Jersey guys. Some of those other guys like Wally Cleaver and the other 1950s sitcom stars that I've seen at the other D end across from some of the good guys.
Yeah.
And so just we got to get it. What?
Chris Cunningham.
Okay. What is that? It?
Cunningham's probably the biggest, strongest defensive line player on the Insomniacs right now, and I wouldn't say he's the fastest. AJ's the fastest, but he's kind of more like a Jason Pierre-Paul type, long and rangy, gets around the corner well, but still strong as a bull. He's probably the most disruptive of the defensive linemen.
Well, in the run game, I saw him set the edge against what Sickwood was trying to do consistently when they would run to. You're talking. I think he's like at a teen number. He's the taller white guy, right? That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's the guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he would set the edge pretty well. What I didn't necessarily see him do is turn the corner and get back there. And I don't think what I saw as far as athleticism and speed, if he does get that edge on one of the let's say he's getting around K-Wack at tight end, right? Is he in space going to be able to convert that play when he's staring down Sterry Codrington?
Respectfully, we don't. These are just questions just to ask. We're not going to know that. We're not going to know that until tomorrow at 4 p.m.
The scheme is never going to be one guy. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is
no. And I'm not even saying that the scheme would be. I'm not saying that the scheme would be one guy. I'm not even saying that we should focus on one guy either. What I'm telling you is none of this really matters, because at the end of the day, when it's game time, all this woulda, coulda, shoulda. No, the adjustments that are going to be made depending on matchups are going to happen. Like, it doesn't matter if it's AJ at D tackle, AJ at the end. It doesn't. None of that shit really matters, because at the end of the day, whoever they line up against, whoever they feel like lining up against, is going to be what happens. It's the same way Derek said it earlier. He said he knows his guys, and that's kind of where it ends. And I feel the same way. It's like, well, yeah, we know our guys, but what's the point of really telling Derek, oh yeah, watch out for this guy, watch out? It's the same. Like, why would we tell the guys, hey, watch out for AJ? Because AJ, these guys are going to do what they, you know what I'm saying?
It's a question that I was asking.
They're going to do their job.
I think, Knox, you got a question. What's up, bro?
Yeah, it was just a quick one. I don't know his name, right? But who's like the big, like 6'7" dude that plays tight end?
Mr. Skunk
Quincy.
Gloves himself, Quincy Davis.
Okay.
The gloves are legendarily gross. I've heard that they're legendarily gross, that if he blocks you,
before we continue,
he needs to get thrown out.
Before we continue,
I'm not lying. That's an actual. Quincy, tell us in the chat. Go ahead.
Hold on, Cory.
Hey, if I drop out, I'll be back.
All right. Well, joining us right now, the man that will call the game later on today, hiding his pretty face. And his how are you?
It's late, and it sounds like I'm inside somebody's trash can while they're throwing it down a fucking well. Sweet
well, that
mother
would be
God.
That would be Bachata Bob having fun with his patrons.
I'm getting PTSD from recording the podcast. Sweet mother of that.
Well, A7FL podcast. Here we are. What's up, Matt?
Hi. It is very late, and I have very many things to do between now and 3 o'clock. So what's up?
He hit the car. Shit.
Oh, no.
No, we're good. Go ahead. I don't care.
Paperwork.
No, hell no.
So this is your now. How many championship games does this make for you, Matt? That you're calling?
With Cory, this is our 5th. Me, Rob, and Cory are 3rd together.
All right. So, how do you see this matchup? Obviously, two contrasting styles. We always talked about hypotheticals. Well, no more hypotheticals. It's finally going to happen. How do you see what may come into fruition later on today at 4 p.m. Eastern?
I feel like the BIC have all of the momentum, and they have the most to lose out of any of the two teams playing tomorrow. So they need to play like they're carrying the entire universe on their back, all the while playing at home, but against the defending champions. So no matter how you look at it, whether it's from the macro or the micro, both sides can make an argument to why they can win by 2 scores. For me, I think this game's going to come down to the final 2 minutes, and I think that the 3-on-1 throw-off is going to be a huge part of it, because that is, what, as Knox said, important, and people need to learn how to defend it. And I think these two teams are going to push each other to the brink, and the depth is going to be the huge thing, and I think that's what the BIC will win.
So no pressure on BIC whatsoever.
All right, so hang on, Matt. You mentioned depth. Where does the depth come from? I'm curious in your statement.
Well, I believe the Insomniacs are bringing everybody in their aunt, but I also am thinking 60 minutes across a game. I know there's a bunch of Swiss Army knives across there, but I know per position, I know how deep the BIC can go on defensive line. I know those offensive linemen can play all day long. I need to watch a little more film on the Insomniacs between now and when I go to sleep at 4 a.m., but I think that, to me, the players that I've seen step up in these playoffs, like Ole Bell, like Isaac Gomez, Tyler Affa coming back and being a huge weapon for that BIC defensive line, I think that they're going to be throwing haymakers at that Insomniacs O-line all afternoon. Kenny Mack's going to have an excellent job. He's going to be playing perfect offensive line play, but he is going to be facing monsters all day. And I'm the play-by-play guy, so I'm very tired, and I have no basis or opinion. I'm at the bottom of the totem pole here when it comes to having an actual opinion about football. But Sterry's confidence makes me feel like the BIC can do anything, because I've seen that guy do a whole bunch of wild shit in the last 4 seasons, and it's hard to bet against him. But yet again, I've seen the Insomniacs come back against the Nightcrawlers team that looked like they could beat anybody and their mother, because of a Bunak blessing and some great running from RTC.
All right, so just to rewind real quick, are you aware that both teams are at a maximum 35 roster?
I am, but I also understand how flying across country and drinking on a Saturday night can be on both sides of the table. Because I know both of these teams are excited and ready to go, but I also understand, shit, jet lag's a motherfucker.
Well, you know what's interesting is I think that the person that just made a comment in the chat has a really interesting perspective in Tone Smith, a guy who played against BIC, played with and against the Insomniacs. And honestly, Tone, what up? What do you think might happen in this game as we get back to maybe kind of talking, because I would kind of want to pick a little bit more of your brain, because like I said, I had a question of specifically, what's the tall white guy? I sound like an
Chris
idiot.
Chris Cunningham.
Yeah, I was. There you go. And I've seen him right now. When I watched, I'm just going to be honest, Dub. It's not you, nothing personal. But when I watch my West Coast games, I have to kind of sneak it in, like as I'm, when my wife was like watching Bridgerton. Like, of course, my eyes aren't on that, but I can't have the volume up. So sometimes I'm watching film, I can identify who the people are. Anyway, you know why I am impressed with as far as defensive guys for Trey Robinson, God's plan. You missed the jersey reveal in the beginning, my guy, Trey Robinson. Man. But the two linebackers that usually are in the game for the Insomniacs, again, don't know them specifically by name yet. I'll see them on the roster tomorrow. But the guy in the championship game that had the red Scully, and then the other guy, number 15, with the long hair, those two guys.
15 is Jeremy Reeves.
And that's the guy who kind of replaced our guy Tone, right? Because I've talked to Coach James about him specifically. He fills the hole, and now we'll see how that translates tomorrow. But another guy that I've seen making plays, kind of like at that rover safety position. Go ahead, Doug. My bad.
No, he just made a comment. The gentleman you were speaking about, that's Vincent Thompson, Mr. 3 and Out, aka Jimmy. So there's the answer to your question. And then Mason says Cory runs across midfield and gets to a Pier 6 brawl with Vanilla Vic. Whatever.
Okay. So Mason also
no,
stop. Listen, stop. You know, the Patriots are going to be mediocre again. Good for you. No,
leave the Patriots out of this, bro. Leave the Patriots out of this, please.
My bad.
Please. I'm suffering enough. Leave them alone.
My eldest son's name is Brady, bro.
Right. No, I know the vibe.
No, let me get this out.
I'm gonna tell y'all real quick before I run back in here.
Defense, by the way.
No, I'm gonna leave. I'm leaving. I'm leaving. I'm going to leave soon. You can yap all night, bro. I can't. You got this. What I'm saying is, in my opinion, the winner of this game it's of course whoever, you know what I'm saying, whatever, what's the name said, that's obvious. But the winner of this specific game is the one who completes the more championship points and the one who converts those 3-on-1s. And I promise you, there is no game after that, because what ends up happening is those sneaky 2-point conversions that people consistently want to miss. BIC had troubles with them early in the year. As late as last game, Insomniacs only scored one of them. So it's like both teams have a potential to miss a couple, but if they take those points serious, we're looking at, 6 extra points. We're looking at 12 extra points on top of scoring quick off of a 3-on-1. The team that does that tomorrow, I can guarantee you, is winning this game without any issue. And it might be bad. It might get really ugly at that point. So, and that's, in my opinion, without blaming the offensive line, trashing the quarterback, or saying this guy can't stop this guy, or even worrying about names. The team that converts more championship points and is more dominant on a 3-on-1, I can guarantee you, is walking home with the trophy tomorrow. Almost guarantee you. Because we're not going to sit here and say the Insomniacs offense can't score. BIC is going to get scored on. But we're not going to sit here and say BIC can't score. Okay, cool. So they're going to be punching each other. Can the Insomniacs defense stop them at least once or twice? Because I feel as though, and call it Jersey bias, I feel like the BIC's defense can stop the Insomniacs at least 3 times. If the Insomniacs can't do the same, then they lose. But if they can match BIC in stops, right now, all you have is extra points and 3-on-1s. If we're calling them straight even, they're just not going to be even on extra points and 3-on-1s. There's just no way. No way.
That's a great take, Rob. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, that's it. That's it from already.
Not brave at all. Completely generic. You've said it before. Not brave at all.
And try to figure out who's going to win, who's the better team, what have you. But that's why they play the game, because we're not talking about paper. So, Cory, I know you have the guys you like. Rob, you have the guys you like. We have the guys we like. What it comes down to tomorrow is these two teams facing off against each other. And it's not always the better team that wins. We all know that any given Sunday happens. So one game can go either way. And so it's very interesting to see what could happen in this championship game.
You just have to be good for 60 minutes. And this is the ultimate chess match. and really is.
I agree with what Tone said, which is the team with the least amount of mistakes, basically, and the least amount of penalties is going to win this game.
But not just that. It's about
penalties are not going to matter like that.
You got to convert those turnovers into points.
Penalties are not going to matter
unless they're calling.
Penalties are not going to matter,
and it's
penalties are not. You're talking about two of the best offenses in the league, right? We're talking about an offense that can get a holding penalty for the Insomniacs and go 15-yard back and still score a 90-yard touchdown. Like we're saying penalties, like we're not talking about the best offenses. Penalties matter when you're dealing with offenses that are not that good. Both of these offenses are, excuse my friend, fucking efficient. Monster receivers on the Insomniacs, a disgusting running back set on the Insomniacs, and Scooter, who can run over a fucking tractor trailer. This is not an offense that's going to be stopped easily. So penalties, I promise you, will not matter on either side. And it's the same thing with the BIC. Sterry's he's a madman with how he does shit. Every player on his team is in a Swiss Army knife. Ashanti Worthy, Kesson Campbell, all those guys are nasty. So penalties, I promise you, a holding penalty is not going to make a difference. A pass interference, maybe, but not really. Because I don't think on either side, a motherfucker's going to be able to either keep up with Ashanti or keep up with Donnie Lyons or even Munchie, who's been going crazy. I don't think it's going to be a penalty-based situation, or whoever has the most penalties man, these dudes can have 15 penalties each. That shit's not gonna make a difference. The real difference here is their efficiency and ability to score these extra points, not their all. Because to say, oh, who's gonna make the most, bro, it's football. Somebody's gonna make a mistake. But if these teams are playing the way we know they can play, bro, they're gonna be punching back and forth. That's why I turn it over to the defense. Can BIC's defense stop that monster offense at least 3 times? And vice versa, can the Insomniacs stop that monster offense at least 3 times? Because the team that does that is in good standing. It ain't even about converting. It's about those extra points. You know what I'm saying? Like, them extra points for those types of teams.
The time when the penalty can and will matter is if it was 4th and 10 from your own 40, and you end up with a 10-yard loss or holding call, and you end up with 4th and 20 from your own 30. And then they looked at it and go,
that shit don't matter to either of these offenses.
Surrender. So that when you talked earlier about when are these stops going to happen?
When are these surrenders going to happen? Both go for it.
On their own
Scott
30?
and Sterry will both go for it, and they both might get it. They'll both get it. Scott and Sterry will both go for it, and they'll both get it. I can almost guarantee they'll both get it. Their teams are that explosive.
I'm not saying they won't get it.
Like,
I think Scott
I'll give it to you like this. How did the Nightcrawlers lose to y'all? Tell me that. You think it was penalties that did that?
No, it was them getting worn down and throwing picks.
I don't think it was penalties that. Huh?
3 turnovers. Three turnovers.
I promise you. When you look at listen up. 3 turnovers sounds great. I promise you. I promise you. If you calculate the points the Nightcrawlers left on the board, it wouldn't have mattered if they got all 3 of those turnovers. They still would have beat y'all. But they left all those championship points on the board. Respectfully, we know how this shit goes. We watched it. You can talk about both Bunak blessings, the interception. Hear me out. Even the interception at the end zone when either who was it, Bagway? Logo threw it up to the chubby guy in the corner, and you guys picked it off. Even that is insignificant if after each touchdown 2 points were converted, or even 1. Because if I'm not mistaken, the championship was decided by 2 measly points.
4.
So you think 4 measly points, and they left about.
The reason that the Insomniacs were down is because Scooter respects the game, and he had 4th and long on his own side of the field and elected to surrender. So they got those stops. That's the time when penalties can and do matter. If you end up with 4th and long in your own territory, Scooter is going to surrender.
How did the penalties matter if y'all still won? If y'all still won, how did the penalties matter?
As other things, but
Because at the end of the day, watching that championship game again, it was a great game. No championship points.
Rob, who do you think is a better team, this year's Insomniacs or last year's? Pretty much the same roster, but
I couldn't say that. I couldn't say who was a better team. Last year's Insomniacs didn't lose a game and won a championship. So how could I disrespect them and say
all I would say
they're
is
not the better team?
Insomniacs are hungrier, but it's really the same guys. So.
I don't agree because they took that loss this year, and I think it snapped them back to reality. I think they needed it.
I do too.
And they understand. They get it now. You feel me? I don't think they come into Jersey thinking this shit's going to be easy, nor do I think they're relaxed about it. I feel like the Insomniacs are coming to play. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're trying to fight to go back-to-back. And that shit's kind of unheard of. And if they do it, holy shit, how legendary would that be for the Insomniacs to go back-to-back? There's a lot at stake. There's a lot at stake. But BIC, I don't agree that they don't have pressure on them. I think BIC has a lot of pressure on them. Can you guys do it again? Are you guys going to allow Vegas this time? Because if Vegas wins this time, there's no more talking. There's no more discussion about if Vegas is or they ain't play nobody. No, there's nothing to talk about, brother. They beat BIC. There is absolutely nothing to talk about except how dominant the Insomniacs are. That would be it. So BIC does have a lot of pressure. They can't let it go back to the West Coast. That's on them. So hopefully, you feel me, both teams understand that they are under this immense amount of pressure. I've been to several championship games, both as a player and as an announcer. The air doesn't get any thicker than those games. Derek, you were there last year. You felt that building. You guys were all there and felt the energy in that building. It doesn't matter if it's an open space. It's going to feel the same.
Mason.
That pressure is going to get to some of your best players.
There's no we, buddy. You're on the gold. I was on the Renegades. I don't say we. There's no we. You are not the Starks, Mason. You are the gold. You are the Dustins. If you're a North family, you are the Dustins. Go look it up. You guys don't read Game of Thrones books. Neither does he. He probably just watches the show. But you are Barbary Dustin's descendants. Go look it up.
So, thanks for coming in, Rob. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Rob.
See you later on tomorrow.
Yeah, good to see you, Big Rob. I'll let you know about popping out.
Thank you, Rob. That was Big Rob Fabien joining us. Of course, he, along with Matt and Cory, will call the game at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 Pacific on A7FL TV. But I was going to ask, could it possibly happen that this game could possibly go past 60 minutes? Could we possibly get the fifth quarter in this championship game? Could overtime possibly happen in this ultimate chess match that is the Insomniacs and BIC?
Well, it's always a possibility, but as inconsistent as both these teams have been with scoring championship points, it's hard to imagine they would land on the same points at the end of the game. Yeah.
Well, but that's the thing about the A7 that makes it really difficult to find yourself in a overtime or extended period, whatever you want to call it, is because the championship points are so random that you have all of these extra variables. And Mason, bro, in one game against the U, I passed for more yards than the Gold have in their existence. Excuse me. Thank you.
Oh boy. Shots fired by Cory Hammond.
I mean, did have the Gold gotten to 300? No, I don't want to make it about myself, Mason. You guys haven't passed for 300 total yards in your existence. Get there first. Let's go. Let's talk back about the two teams that actually represent Vegas and New Jersey, right? Not the Gold, Mason. Sorry, you're not a we. Let's talk about a position matchup that I think is interesting because Chris really did say it earlier. It's not going to be – Will, hold up. Stop talking about how the game's going to go. You are a neutral party. No, I'm just joking. Shout out to Will Franklin. Does a great job. I don't even think he's specifically doing anything other than managing the refs in the game. But we'll see. We'll see. I know he'll be there. Chris said it before. The teams are going to decide it. I think what's fun to talk about is as we're leading up to the game, getting everybody hyped, getting people in the chat, responding in many ways. Mason, come on. No.
Well,
I was going to ask Rob because he obviously came on here and gave an announcer take, right? Generic take he's already said before that's important about the game. Didn't pick one side or the other. Both sidism. I was going to try to force him in a box. Which wide receiver core is better, period, however you defined it, BIC, Insomniacs. Because I, hypothetically, could make the case that it's BIC. I also think hypothetically, could make the case that it's Insomniacs. And I think at that top level, there's Davik and Munchie and Danye and name for the Insomniacs. At the same time, you got Ashanti, Kason, Umar, Trey Cohen, who's kind of that Swiss Army knife, and everybody forgets about Q Bell. You guys, you see a lot of the games of the week. You cover the Insomniacs. You could be biased, and it's totally fine. How do you guys rate these wide receiver cores against each other?
Both are definitely top tier. You have two guys that are just naturally fast in Davik and Danye, and they can go, 0 to 60 at the drop of a dime. Obviously, you go back to the first play of the title game between Signy and Insomniacs. Quick screen to Danye, and boom, already in second level, and boom, he's gone.
By the way, who made the block though? Who made the block of the rocket screen?
Mr. Schufert.
Yeah,
that's what he does. But really, you got two dynamic cores that can each go over the top because we got two quarterbacks that can get it to them when they go over the top in Scooter and Sterry. So the deep ball is definitely nothing that either quarterback can't do. Really, truthfully speaking, it's a toss-up. And just as a fan, I'm just looking forward to watching all because, like I said, this really is the ultimate chess match. And it really may come down to whoever has the ball last might win this game. Because, there's so many evenly matchups on both sides of the ball. It is going to come down to that critical mistake or, like I said, possibly last possession might win this game.
Answer, Dub. Announcer answer. No, I'm sure.
All right. Let me dive in, Cory.
Yeah. Let's get
Chris first. Let's get Chris first.
Stand. Yeah, let's go.
I'll tell you, I'll answer it a total different way than what Dub answered. And I'll say the two wide receiver cores for both these teams won't play each other. So it doesn't matter. But what does matter is who do they have in the secondary and who's covering these wide receivers. To me, that's more of a bigger question than saying who's got the better wide receiver core. What it comes down to is who's got the better defensive back and who is going to be covering who. So when I start to break this down and look at these two teams offensively, and when it comes to these offensive wide receivers, it's evenly matched. When I have to break it down like that. Now, what really matters, and what's going to be the difference maker, I think, in this game, is going to be the secondary.
So I wanted to break down the secondaries because I think obviously that's who these guys are facing. I think for me, if you can make the argument for both, you could talk about the productivity top to bottom for BIC and the consistency in which they've done it. Not that Insomniacs don't, but because some of those guys are kind of in and out and here and there, and probably their best pure just touchdown scorer in Davik Clark, only really got, in half the season. Another pure playmaker. I think he's a better corner than he is a wide receiver, but he's obviously a baller in Danye Lyons. Same thing with that, the professional flag league thing. Hopefully they can get back on that track. Hopefully that works out, but that's what you guys, get with messing for flag, play stupid games, get stupid prizes. No, I'm just joking. I always got to throw a flag out there. But if you want to make the case for the Insomniacs receiving core, you have the tall, fast guy, the locate the ball guy, the tear off the top of the defense. One-on-one coverage is not an acceptable option against David Clark, right? You have Munchie, who we could talk all day about his ability to run precise routes. For him to get separation on the easiest of 3 steps, where a lot of guys want to showcase how good they are at wide receiver because they want to do the Devontae Adams like in-out zig cut that went viral. But if you can run a slant and get separation, then you don't have to do all the nonsense bullshit, right?
It's true.
Munchie also one of the best perimeter blockers in the A7FL. One of the reasons why the Insomniacs are national champions, defending national champions, is his blocking ability. Also, shout outs to
Cory. Do you have to then, when you're looking and breaking these down, and when I'm not trying to throw shade, I'm not trying to throw this at you.
I'm just saying.
I'm asking an honest question. When you start to break down these 2 offenses, and one of the things that I look at, coming from a wide receiver standpoint, is, are my wide receivers blocking for my running back? And the big thing that I say when it comes to the Insomniacs is yes, because we know without a shadow of a doubt, without some of the blocks from Munchie, without some of the blocks that we've seen from the wide receiver core, we wouldn't have the long runs that we've seen from RTC. We wouldn't see the long runs that we've seen from Juice. So we know that they're going to be blocking downfield. The question mark that I have when it comes to all of these games, and I've heard you guys talk, I've watched people say, well, is Chris and Dub going to talk? My thing is to listen. I want to hear your takes on the team to understand where you're coming from and where you feel that BIC is coming from. So my question isn't really the fact of being an ass about it. My question is just saying this. If you know for a fact the run is coming from a cornerback position and you're going to get manhandled, somebody's going to be in your face. They are going to be trying to take you to the ground. And that is going to happen play in and play out. That's when I think that a play action starts to take shape and starts to get guys freed up on the backside. So when I start to look at the breakdown of what the possibilities are for the Insomniacs, and this is just, like I said, this is just for me from what I've been watching. When we see these types of plays start to develop and you see that play action, sometimes you get those cornerbacks looking inside because they want to know, damn, is this guy going to hit me again? Right. And it's not a matter of, well, he's more physical. That's not what I'm talking about. It's just the matter of getting hit again, because corners aren't always ready to be hit. They're ready to deliver hits. So when I start to see that throughout the game, when I start to see that throughout the game, my question mark is, what kind of toll does that take on the corners from BIC if the Insomniacs choose to continue to run the ball?
Well, if you look statistically, what BIC has been able to do as far as the interceptions go, they have as many interceptions that they've received, right, that they've converted against teams, as the Insomniacs have scored offensive touchdowns against teams with winning records, right? They turn the ball over quite a bit. So here's the thing about covering, and as a wide receiver, you know this, Chris, a cornerback almost 100% of the time is going to get burnt by even the most mediocre of good wide receivers, period. Danye Lyons, Dillard Davis, also known as Gianni Breland. I know who you are, by the way. I know who you are. H3, right? H3 had 2 interceptions in the game against the U. Sierra Hancock has, I think, 4 or 5 interceptions on the year. Chick, Amir Morris, who is a legend in this league, had 3 just in one game, and those are not even on all guys that he's covered, right? Like he can see out of his periphery to the point where he's intercepting passes on guys he's not covering. So whatever. I mean, it wasn't Quattro Huffin, so we'll see, right? But Chris, it's not about the corners when it goes to stopping the pass. The way that you stop a pass offense is by making the quarterback, who is inhuman all season in Scooter, throwing dimes, dropping the ball in places that only his receiver can catch it. And even guys like Justin Shepard, who's a good corner, really good corner, they can't guard Davik Clark one-on-one when the ball is thrown perfectly, period. Doesn't matter if you have Dominique Rogers fucking Cromartie out there, right? It doesn't. How you stop these wide receivers is something we talked about earlier in the pass rush. You put quarterbacks in a position where they're not just chilling back there for 13 seconds, and that goes for both guys. They're a little bit less accurate, right? They're a little bit less on time. They're a little bit less able to make the right decision 95% of the time. Now, we don't know exactly how it's going to play out. And to no fault of their own, and I'll piggyback on this take in a second. To no fault of their own, I am not sure whether it's Florida last year, whether it's sick. Sorry, I don't want to say with it all the time. So sick, or whether it was the chaos, which are kind of the upper echelon teams. I don't think that the Insomniacs have faced and Scooter have faced not only the personnel, which is important, but the scheme. Kenny Mack, Oos, Schwenk, blocking their man on man, probably 80 to 95% of the time, even against top guys. BIC is going to send the fourth. If there's a running back in the backfield, BIC might even send the fifth. And if there's two guys in the backfield, BIC might send the sixth. So what it's about in the coverage of these wide receivers, which is how the game plays out, not in comparing and contrasting these two different units. And I gave the hypothetical for the Insomniacs on the Vegas show. Maybe we could move past the BIC one because apparently Ashanti Worthy isn't impressive to some people. Shout outs to my guy Knox, though. I'm always going to poke at the bear.
Yeah. All right. So, Cory, you said a lot, and I want to take on all of these points and kind of just dive back into it. We'll start with the end and work our way backwards. We talked about BIC sending 4. Right. We talked about BIC sending 3, 4, 5 players. And Chris touched on, I think, the answer for that, and what I said was the answer for that before. The Insomniacs, one of their best run plays is a quick toss. So if you're sending 4 and RTC's in the backfield and they toss it away from your fourth guy, and now the person who has to tackle him is your cornerback, what do you think is going to happen on that play? Again, and in that situation, it's going to be whether the Insomniacs stick with their game plan and take it to BIC, or if they adjust to the BIC game plan and try to block that man. We don't know which game plan it's going to be and how it's going to play out, but that's what's going to dictate how that's going to go on that end. When the better receiving core, I want to get back into that a little bit. And I think top to bottom, BIC probably has more talented guys at the receiver position than the Insomniacs have. But guess what? You only can put a maximum of 4 of them on the field at one time. And if you have 4 of them on the field at one time, now you've left 3 of the best rushers in the game open to attack Sterry and guys who have enough speed who can actually catch him, and no one to have his back at that.
Which
AJ,
ones are those guys?
Chris Cunningham, Chris Cunningham. No. Both of them have enough speed to, with 2 of them bearing down on him, have enough speed to get to Terry Cunningham.
Scheme wise, they can contain him and they can get pressure on him and they can play good defense against him. If they're caught in that situation where it's flat-footed, I'm breaking down, and Sterry's sitting there ready to take off, the only guy that may be able to even hold his ground in that position that plays defensive line for the Insomniacs, in my opinion, is when they put RTC in. Because nobody, even AJ McQuaig, who does have great just baseline athletic features and attributes, Jeremy Geary has escaped AJ McQuaid. Okay, so can AJ McQuaig also, with good scheme and good fundamentals, chase down Mark Bagley? Yes, he can.
But you're talking about him escaping him when they've got 3 dominant linemen in, and he's having to get around those 3 dominant linemen. If they have 4 receivers on the field, they don't have 3 dominant linemen. They've got 2. So it's the chess match and chess piece. So I'm saying,
well,
the only time that 4 great receivers is going to matter is if BIC is willing to only have 2 guys on the line because we play 7-on-7. So now you're maxed out at 3 receivers, and the Insomniacs have enough great 3 great DBs to stick with those guys to match the game up. So I agree with you.
So they got. They have. Who's the third D back that they're going to put back there that covers him? Munchie, because Munchie could probably cover. I see Munchie more like it.
Munchie does a great job at D-back, but Jeremy Reeves also plays the middle and is a slot cover. He's like a Deontay Henderson, but faster and leaner. He's got a logo body type. Also Jeremy Pugh or Jay Pugh is another guy. Now I don't know if he's going to make the trip.
Linebacker safety hybrid guys. Okay. Right. Okay.
Well, no, he's So and those guys are very, very, very good cover guys for short to medium amounts of time, and that's, in my opinion, all you're going to need if you've got 2 or 3 guys. If you only got 2 or 3 guys blocking, and again, it's the chess match thing, right? So,
but that's not that's moving the goalpost, putting all 4. First of all, I don't know who I would take because the thing is that they're very similar.
And I believe you asked the question. I believe the answer is that BIC has more depth at the high-end receiver position. That's my answer to that question.
And by the way, I was the one who made the argument for Sundays too.
My retort is they can't have them all on the field at the same time. So even though they might have that, it's they might all have more money at home too, but that doesn't help you in this game of football. Is my point.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. When you rush 4 against 3, it's a gamble every time because there are other ways. There are the means to break up that 4-man rush. So, I mean, anytime that you bring the house, it's a gamble. You're gambling that you're going to get to the quarterback before he can make a throw. We all know that. So I'm not saying either way because I've seen the Insomniacs bring 4. So it's a gamble depending on when and how you want to take that gamble. So
if it
comes down to on either side of these teams tomorrow, what it comes down to is execution. And do they have the right play called for the defense that they've seen? Are they going to be able to get into the right play call? Because I really think that this is going to be a little bit different of a game at the beginning. I think this is going to be a feeling out process at the beginning. Now, the 3-on-1 will bring in a different aspect of it and who wins the coin toss. But what it comes down to is the 2 offenses. I think that it's going to be a little bit of a feeling out process at the beginning to see what do we have and what can we make the defense think we're doing and show them something a little bit different than what we have been doing.
That's an interesting question. I think the better timing quarterback is Scott Hamilton. I mean, if you look at the throws that he's successful with, it's on time, complete. And that's what I said earlier. There's 2 types of plays that you'll see. There's the play that's called and the adjustments that are made after everything hits the fan.
Exactly.
So Scott is, when he has a clean pocket, he has the timing. Not that Sterry doesn't, let's be clear, right? But who's a better quarterback under pressure? No disrespect to Scott. I've seen him make big plays with guys draped off of him, almost like a Ben Roethlisberger type of play. But if you get if we do the apples to apples thing that we just mentioned, what Chris was just mentioning with the extra rusher, which is a defensive gamble, there's one team that the answer to that is the quarterback is going to account for the extra man. And then if that man makes him miss, ask the Force about this, by the way. If that quarterback makes him miss, now the play is extended and there's no corner on either roster that can cover Ashanti Worthy, Kason Campbell, Q Bell, Umar Bodo, or any of those guys once the play is extended past that initial opportunity. Now, if you convert the sack, good on you. That's why you set the blitz. The Insomniacs, when they face that, though, however, normally what Scooter will do, and what I've seen him do, is he throws that timing route to Munchie, the stop route. Sometimes an out, sometimes he just throws the fade on time. And if he gets the ball out on time, you can counteract that. Absolutely. What he will not be able to do, in my opinion, with the type of guys that are coming off the edge specifically for BIC, is make that guy miss. Now, can he maybe get hit and still stand in the pocket and deliver a ball? Maybe. But that's not how he's played all season. That's not the type of game that he faces week in, week out in the division specifically. And no disrespect to anybody, that's just not how the teams in general in Vegas play defense.
Corey, you just a very interesting point, which is if you make a man miss. So the fact of the matter is you can easily put that back in the Insomniacs lab too and say if Scott does make a man miss, or like you say, has a guy bounce off of him, then you're putting the corners from the BIC in the exact same position. They're not going to.
Are you familiar? But just let's be honest, because it's okay, because we all got lives. Are you familiar with the guys who play defensive line for BIC? Period. The end. Yes or no?
Am I familiar with them?
No, and that's okay, because the thing is that this is not Sickwitted. It's not Andrew Luwalamala, and shout outs to my guy. It's not those types of guys coming off the edge. We're talking about guys that are all in the 240 to 270 range. That one of them caught a man that caught the ball. These guys can cover receivers. Listen, obviously, I have a little nostalgia because I've faced these guys head to head. But if you're going to say all of these hypotheticals, Chris, and you don't know the actual personnel that they're facing,
when you have any kind of defense, I don't care who the defensive players are. Sometimes to make a man,
if you don't care who the players are, then you'll be in a situation like
Can I please finish?
But if you
the fact of the matter is, when you have guys that are rushing, if you make a man miss by stepping up into a pocket that might not be clean, I'm not saying that it is going to be clean. But if you can make an outside rusher miss by stepping up for half a second to get the ball downfield, that is a different play. What I'm saying is things happen throughout the game. And this is what I'm saying for both sides, not just BIC, not just the Insomniacs, because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow at all.
But we can.
What I'm saying,
the reason we're on this show is to make
when you have plays that are broken, that break down, and it happens on both sides. We've seen it. And you can't tell me you haven't seen it, because I've seen BIC get taken advantage of in the secondary because of a broken play, because of multiple broken plays. The fact of the matter is, everything that we're talking about from these teams, we can say literally about both.
I don't think that you can make the comparison between the elusiveness of Sterry Codrington and the elusiveness of Scott Hamilton.
No, I don't think
the straight face.
There is a thing that they're just as elusive as each other. I wouldn't say that at all. What I'm saying is they're different quarterbacks.
Let's summarize. So I believe we're all saying the same thing, but arguing with each other about it. I think we see that there's an opportunity for Scooter to evade a rush, and he does a good job from time to time stepping up in the pocket, shaking off a man. Not avoiding the rush the same way Sterry does. Sterry avoids the rush, then takes off and beats you with his legs. What we haven't addressed is how frequently Sterry throws a errand ball and a bad ball when he's on the run, and how that is how the teams that have had good games against them have stayed in games, and how great Sterry is with his legs if you have your back to him, and how he is virtually impossible to catch once he crosses the line of scrimmage. Like his greatest attribute and his biggest weakness is what he does when he's on the run. And it's going to be up to the Insomniacs to figure out which version of Sterry they're going to allow to be on the run. Are they going to send someone away that makes him retreat and have to throw off his back leg so the ball's short and they have an opportunity to get a pick, because he does that more frequently than I think any of us would like to see, because he's one of my favorite players? Or are they going to set up their defense so when Sterry steps up, he has a running lane, and if they allow him to have a running lane to beat him with his leg, it's going to be a long fucking day at the office for the Insomniacs.
Well, how did the U play Sterry last week? 2 weeks ago.
They played him to make him run away. They always had a man that would come up the middle to push him, so he had to run backwards. He very rarely took off and tried to beat him with his legs. But again, sometimes Sterry just does that.
But they played contained. Well,
exactly,
that's true.
Exactly.
But they did play contained. They played back. They did not pressure
him.
him. But they did not pressure him. They honestly said, "Hey, Sterry, beat us with your arm." And then what proceeded to happen?
He beat him with their arm.
And do you know how many interceptions Sterry Codrington threw this year?
I do not.
One.
Was it just in the game? This one game against the U in the playoffs just now?
No, he didn't throw a pick against you in that game.
Thought he did.
He did. retreating back to his left, throws at the end zone at the end.
Yeah. Yes, you're right. Yeah, yes, that did happen.
Well, I guess you could.
But in the regular season, then, and in the playoffs,
right?
so that's a total of 2, right? So that's a total of 2 all season. We're talking about a lot of reps, a lot of opportunities to throw.
I'm not saying
not what I would
has
count
a vulnerability. It's like
no.
Achilles heel.
You said something. You said something that I agree with. I think that accuracy wise, Sterry Codrington sometimes loses it, and then he can't hit a barn. But guess what?
Right, and then
he whips out the sidearm, and it's 4.2 speed. And now I'm exaggerating.
Right.
I don't really think it's 4.2. But the interesting
but it's
thing we'll see
where
is
it feels like 4.2.
Well, it's a touchdown most of the time. It's a problem. Do the Insomniacs say beat us with your arm, Sterry? Because that's not necessarily the winning formula. Right?
Yeah, I don't know. So I think the Insomniacs have too much pride in their defensive line and middle of the defense to take that stance unless they're down 2 or 3 scores and decide to change it up. But the other thing I wanted to touch on and talk about where Scooter has an advantage is the precision of the deep ball. Because although Sterry throws a great deep ball, he misses guys over the top more frequently than he hits them over the top. And Scooter, when he gets nervous or early in a game, he has a tendency to do that as well. But percentage-wise, I'd say Scooter has an advantage 20-30% better of hitting guys over the top on a deep ball than Sterry does. So
percentage,
they're very evenly matched at the position, but yeah, I mean, completion percentage is a whole other ballgame, but deep ball percentage is a different.
Well, both of the teams run a lot of quick screens, so whatever. But they're inverses of each other. Where Scooter has weaknesses, Sterry is maybe his greatest strengths. But the thing that kind of comes into play is the way that the Insomniacs get one-on-one coverage and easy targets down the field is play action.
Yep.
Yes.
The way that BIC does it is they have fucking Sterry Codrington, right?
Right.
And because you have to play that type of honest defense to make sure he doesn't beat you on the ground, he is your running game. He is your play action on every single pass play. And if you rush him, and 6 of the 7 times you rush with integrity, you keep your lanes, nobody's opening up, which is saying a lot considering the offensive lineman that this team has.
Yep.
It's still that 7th play. You make one mistake and he can turn it on. Now, I think the more interesting matchup for me is when we talk about the individual matchups on the outside. And Chris mentioned it before. I'm trying to do the segue here so we can keep going and go. I think the quarterback thing is always fun and I can go on forever. But I think corner is an interesting conversation because I would make Bagway or Sterry. I don't know. Ask Mike Tice.
Bagway.
The best, by the way, the best ability, gentlemen, is availability also. So there you go.
Well, if you play all your games at home, you're more available. There you go.
Listen. If you play on a Sunday and your idea of making the game is a flight on Sunday, you don't know how to add math. That's it. Say what you want. Hold on. Let's we can take Cory. No, I said ask Mike Tice. Mike Tice is a NFL guy that watched these guys and said Mark Bagway is one of the best football players he's seen in recent time. So just that answers the question. That's not a weak take.
Yeah, he didn't know you were supporting Bagway.
Look at Rob's picture of him in a studio, man, covering his eyes. That's Rob like 4 years ago, though, by the way.
That's not so big, Rob.
Anyway, that's not that big, Rob. That's a different big Rob.
It says Vegas.
I said that's not so big, Rob.
Oh yeah, no. That's a tricky angle on the camera. Look at what's hiding.
No, but I thought we agreed we weren't putting up brother's dumbass comments anymore because he won't come on the show. Let's stop wasting our time.
Yeah. Anyway, Vegas don't travel well. That's why they got their ass kicked.
Listen, Daniel Oakley, are you playing tomorrow? Stop weeing. You're not playing tomorrow. Just because you played flag against these guys, you are not allowed. Do not start to say we. These guys deserve all the credit in the world, whether it's flag, tackle, A7, rugby.
Where does Oakley say we? What did I miss?
No, he's talking about, doesn't it hurt your feelings that it's flag guys? First of all, it's a bit that I always talk shit on flag.
Look, you ruffled some
B,
feathers back in the day, but when we were saying
I know,
that
because everybody everybody defends flag like their life depends on it. But it's a sport where you could talk shit and you don't have any repercussions of ever getting hit. And to get me down, slow, unathletic, all you got to do is touch my hip like an 8th grade dance. So yes, it's fun. Have fun. Enjoy your life. But don't say flag is real football. Stop it.
All right.
Anyway.
Final thoughts before we put a bow in the wrap and we actually get to watch this game come into fruition.
How about this? We know you guys are going to pick the Insomniacs to win. Fair and honest. Let's be honest.
I said final thoughts. I said nothing about predictions.
How about this? What I want to know is I want to hear maybe all or one of your guys' path to victory for Vegas, because I think it's there. But what do you guys see has to happen for it to be a successful weekend for the defending champs?
I'll lead because I've been thinking about it for quite some time. I think that Vegas is going to need to have a defensive rush plan to make Sterry retreat and throw off his back foot so they can get picks, because they're not gonna get him on
the right.
Get him going to the right.
Well, even to the left. If he's retreating and he throws the ball, he throws picks.
Everybody does, but picks he has in the past 3 years. I think he has a total of 5. I would not do that. What I would do is say, if you get him and he's got to turn his shoulder to make that throw, he might be inaccurate.
Yeah, but when he rolls to his right, he normally takes off. So
absolutely.
I'd rather see him roll to the left and throw off his back foot and throw a pick than roll to his right and take off and score a touchdown.
If anybody was playing Madden against him, because it changes game to game. If you were playing Madden or NC Dubs, if you were playing a video game against him, you would send that corner blitz to the defense's right, his left side, and then play contain on the right so he has to throw it. That would be the ideal situation. Now, that's not exactly what you can put it in. But go ahead. So we're gonna pressure Codrington into making errant throws, which I think is probably the best case scenario. Yeah, honestly.
I don't see the four and out scenario happening more than once in the game, because we weren't able to do it against Bagway and the Nightcrawlers. I don't see us doing it against the BIC. The name of the game is turnovers, and 3-on-1s and conversions, and that's the path to victory.
And offensively, game plan for Insomniacs is dominate offensive line, run the ball consistently, take advantage of play action over the top.
You know, I've gone back and forth on this. I that wants to see the Insomniacs bully the team from the East, just so I can shut up everyone across the years that says we're soft. Jersey ball is a different type of ball, and we're not ready for that. And they might be right. So in doing so, it would prove that point. But I don't know that the Insomniacs win playing that type of ball, because, you know, both of them have 35 guys, and I don't care who you are, both guys are going to get worn down after that, and injuries are going to happen if that's the type of game you're playing. And if your best guy gets injured and their not best guy is the one injured, advantage them. So that part scares me a little bit. What I appreciate out of the Insomniacs is their ability to play the game in 3 different ways, and that is calling great set plays is the best way that they win games, and being on time with the ball and being precise with their route running and being precise with their blocking schemes. And like I said before, when they rush 5, if they've got somebody in the backfield that they can pitch to, and then now it's them one-on-one against a corner, and even if the corner hits him, now you got a corner taking on RTC, Juice, or Devontae Carter. That's a problem every time it happens. Uh-oh, my phone's ringing. I must be too loud.
Big problem.
And JQ, first of all, we're never going to have to worry about that for a lot of reasons. But hypothetically, if your boy was like chip chasing, nobody replaces Cory Hammond in the booth, my guy.
Just be 2.
Yeah,
I'm back.
Rob and Matt got this covered. So I think because here's the thing. I see paths to victory for both teams, right? And I think turnovers are a huge thing. Now, I will ask you this. One of the reasons why I picked Sickwit regular season, and unfortunately we didn't do a 3-on-1, I was going to pick the Insomniacs in the rematch. I think if that original regular season game with Sick and Insomniacs went another 3 minutes, Insomniacs would have won that game, but I digress. The Insomniacs sometimes turn the ball over a little bit too. Now, you can even look at like a team like the Chaos. Now, were the Insomniacs playing with their food a little bit, maybe? Whatever. But the Insomniacs have to 100%, they cannot turn the ball over. I think that they
got to hold on to the ball. They got to make sure that they got ball security.
He's my guy, first of all. Big Bravado Wilkerson is my guy, right? But we've seen him at times fighting for the extra yards because he's always going to fight. Sometimes that ball hits the turf. Can't happen.
No.
Ball security's got to be number one. Number two, the offensive line for the Insomniacs needs to prove what they've always been lauded as. If they can stonewall the guy in front of him, it gives Scooter a better chance to throw those on-time routes that are his way of escaping the rush. Scooter has to literally stand there in the pocket, eat the hit, and continue to keep on going. Now, he only has to do it for one more game, and he's a tough guy. And what I always talk about is sometimes, you need that extra rib pads. And we know my guy has that extra, we'll say athleticism to protect him maybe in that scenario. But for me, to go to flip side, for BIC to win this game, I think that they have to make Scooter human. And now, you look at his numbers in the course of the 2 seasons that he's been in this league, and this year, couple things going on. I think that I had about the same amount of passing yards as him. I always throw those in there. Gotcha. But he did miss a lot of games, right? So there was a lot going on. First of all, shout outs to Zach Luciano, who steps in there and is actually a cool and relatively effective other option, worst case scenario, and sometimes on the 2-point conversion. Again, I digress. Unfortunately, I do that a lot. If the defensive pass rush for BIC forces Scooter to either throw quicker or the accumulative effect of them running too many pass plays in which there's that extra rusher and he has to eat the hit and throw it on time. His able to handle those situations, whether it's changing the protection of the line, whether it's calling a different play, like they do the natural audible thing where they'll call the stop route in the huddle, and then they went with the toss, 4th and 8 in the championship. So if they're able to do that, they'll be good. But if BIC wants to win, they need to make Scooter. It's what I tell my Pop Warner kids, right? You're looking at a bunch of 9-year-olds and you're saying, I don't care how good that kid can throw a spiral. Nobody's good at quarterback if you put blood in their mouth. And now, yes, I do say that to 9-year-olds. I apologize to those parents. But it holds true at every level of football, including Sterry Codrington. If you put blood in a quarterback's mouth, he's not a 75% completion percentage guy anymore. He just dropped below 50. And if BIC does that on defense, I think that the amount of rushing yards that they're going to give up is negated because that's going to be by far the best defensive line that Scooter has ever played in this league. Now, I saw earlier, Scooter plays fast pace. Scooter does this, and he can. I'm not saying he's not able to do it. I'm saying if BIC wants to win, they affect the quarterback and make him not as good as he normally is with the pressure that's on him. Defensively, and flip side for BIC's offense and defensively for the Insomniacs, if BIC just decides to play that physical style that they can and they run the ball and they almost go into the playbook of the Insomniacs and the U, which are two teams that I think are kind of structured very similar, and they allow Big Dippy, Dave Valley, everybody's favorite lineman this year, apparently, except for Kenny Mack, who I don't mean he's not Kenny Mack's favorite. Everyone's favorite except for Kenny Mack. This is the other side of the ball. I will show deference. If BIC's offensive line is allowed to push the defensive line for the Insomniacs, the one thing they do not have, guys, is elite size. The defensive line for the Insomniacs is very good. Maybe it's either them or sick. Maybe the best in the division. They do not have elite size. I don't think that they're going to do this. But if they put AJ McQuaig in front of Dave Valley and say, have yourself a day, big fella, he might be able to get past them on a couple pass rushes. He is not going to handle Dave Valley with hands on his chest. Now, he could prove me wrong. I don't think that's a matchup that the Insomniacs want to get involved with. I don't know who the guy you put in at D tackle is to eat up the block of Dave Valley. But guys don't really realize, if you look at the U tape, the guy with the red do-rag, Big Dippy, he was the Kenny Mack before Kenny Mack was Kenny Mack and before Dave Valley was Kenny Mack. And that's why BIC won their first championship since 2016 when they beat the U a couple years ago. So what's interesting is how these little storylines play out. And for me, what makes me feel really awesome is that we will absolutely 100% see two elite passing offenses tomorrow. And the way that both of those passing offenses handle the defensive pass rushes they're going to face, and or the choice in what kind of pass rush the Insomniacs are going to bring, I think decides the game.
Chris, final thoughts.
Chris, you're muted.
Yeah, I am muted. I had a lot of, my daughter's got a sleepover, so I got little girls yelling in the background. My final thoughts, well, like I said, we can talk about it. We have been talking about it for 2 hours. We've talked about and broken down pretty much every position and what are the possibilities. Well, you know what? Come 1 o'clock my time tomorrow, all that shit goes out the window, and it means absolutely nothing. These two teams will face off, and the better team might not win. Let's be real. Any given Sunday, anything can happen. So we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and that's why we watch the game. You know, we do what we do on here, talking shit about, you know, the two teams and who's better at what position. But when you get in the trenches, man, weird things happen. So I'm interested to watch this game tomorrow. I'm interested to see what happens. I think that there's going to be adjustments on both sides, and I think that this game might actually not go the way anybody on here thinks. I think this could be one of those games where all of us are kind of surprised at the outcome. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. I think it's going to be an interesting game. I think it's going to be a great game. And I think that it's going to be another one of those games like we saw last season with the Insomniacs and the Nightcrawlers. So we'll see what happens. Can't wait.
Debo is Ice Cream Truck. That was his name before he got the name Ice Cream Truck, Derek. And yeah, I think Dub, you got to check it because you're the stat guy and you have every stat in the book other than Cole Gardella. Shout out to Cole. I think Chris hit the over for cliches today. Oh, sure. Listen, I think everybody's.
That might be true, man, but I'm just battling with my boy, battling with you.
No. I'm just being an asshole. You know, I try, but I can't help myself. I think you're right, Chris. At the end of the day, these two teams have to figure it out. I just think that we also have to just revel. And I obviously had my last thing, so my bad, though. We have to just revel in the fact that this is the matchup, the type of matchup that we have been begging for what seems like forever. Not that we didn't want to see Nightcrawlers, Insomniacs. We obviously did. But when those two teams showed up to Arizona, the depth of what the Florida guys brought to me was not what they needed to face a team with enough football savvy, with a manager coach like Coach James, who knew that, listen, we're going to win this game if we wear those main two guys down, and they did. This is the matchup. This is the game, and I think Chris is right. For 2 hours, 4 minutes, and 42 seconds, basically, and to shout out to Chris Hunter, my former teammate, I've been talking, and you guys have been doing a great job actually analyzing. But, Dub, I'd say talk is over. It's time to settle it on the field.
And it will be settled on the field in Asbury Park, New Jersey. Again, you can catch it on A7FL.tv, and locally in Las Vegas, you can catch it on Fox 5.2 and Cox Channel 125, all a part of the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. Special thanks to Live with 25 for coming on earlier. Special thanks to Matt Ryan. Special thanks to Rob Fabien, of course, the one, the only, never at a loss for words. Cory Hammond for joining us on this special impromptu championship edition of The Other Side of the Ball. Again, we will see all you guys. Hopefully you guys will come out to Asbury Park Stadium in Asbury Park, New Jersey, as one more time Cory puts up the
is this me picking Vegas or BIC? I don't know.
But nonetheless,
yeah, that's a good question.
You can hear Rob, Cory, and Matt on the call tomorrow at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific, where finally we will get to see who is the better of the two between the Trenton BIC and the Las Vegas Insomniacs. The BIC looking to join the U as 3-time A7FL champions. The Insomniacs looking to join the U as the only other team to go back-to-back as we celebrate the 10-year anniversary of the A7FL. If you guys can't join us at Asbury Park, do the next best thing. Go to A7FL.tv. If you're watching in Vegas, Cox 125, Channel 125, and Fox 5.2. Cory, for Chris, for Derek, I'm Dub. We all need to go take naps because it is finally Championship Sunday. But nonetheless, we will see you guys later on today in Asbury Park for the National Championship, and we'll see you on the other side of the ball. And like Cory Hammond, we'll try. Good night, good morning, wherever you may be.
Hasta.